Good afternoon, YouTubers. T-Square with T-Square Talk. So I hope everybody's having a great day today. It's almost the end of the week. It's Thursday, 2 more days, and then the weekend. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about a comment that I had received in that it's a comment I hear a lot about, well, you know, what makes you think that gold and silver is going to matter in a major event? A survival event, a major event, or just anything. A lot of people are against gold and silver. They're new. I was new to it at one time. The first time I heard about it, gold was right around $400, silver was right around $10, and I laughed at the individual. I was not informed, and I didn't take the time to inform myself, and to this day, I regret it. But with that being said, I try to make up for that by sharing videos with other people and helping people. And if I hear a question, I try to take it and answer it. So, you know, the question is, why would you want it in a major event? So, major event can range. Oh, if you enjoyed this video, please help me out by hitting that thumbs up button. I'm trying to push YouTube videos. I'm trying to make a go of it. And I'm trying to hit 20,000 by the end of this year. Subscribers. So help me out. If you're not subscribed, subscribe, and you know, hit that thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. So the first thing, major event. Major event can be said a few different ways. What is the major event? Some events, I will be honest, silver is probably not going to matter. Neither will gold. But the majority of the events, I believe, gold and silver will play a major factor. Even if nothing happens, gold and silver will play a major beneficial factor. So, you know, we could start off with you're right, in a certain type of an event, gold and silver is not going to matter. I give it a very small percentage that we will have a zombie apocalypse. It's probably not going to happen, and if everybody was in Walking Dead scenario, it's probably not going to matter if you've got some ounces of silver stacked up. Same with, I don't know, a werewolf apocalypse. The fact that you got silver, maybe you'll be able to take one out with a silver bullet, but the odds of it happening are extremely rare and not likely. Now, moving on though to a major Armageddon end of the world, we'll say that happens, silver ain't gonna matter. When the end of the world comes, it's the end of the world. These are one-off things though. That probably won't happen. But moving down the list to something maybe likely that could happen, we'll go with a bad event, but not the end of the world. The grid goes down. We get hit with an EMP. We get a Carrington effect. For those of you that don't know what a Carrington effect is, basically a big solar flare that takes out every piece of electronic in the entire world. We are sent back to the Stone Age. The fact of you having silver, they're probably not going to accept paper money at that point either. So let's factor that in too. But here's the thing with silver. Silver has always had value. Silver is silver. It is the money. You might want to have some small pieces, maybe some mercury dimes like these. I'm not saying, you know, you want all your money into silver, but you want to have some. If some major event happens, having this can make the difference like it always has. People would work in a vineyard for 1 denarius. This happens to be a silver dime, but about the same amount of silver in it as a denarius. I mean, it was 4 grams of silver in a denarius, depending on what year it was from, because they watered down their money. Before Rome fell, Rome debased their money by taking out the silver and the gold and slowly added in more metals, making it less valuable. And it wasn't until there was no gold and no silver that other countries didn't want their money anymore. They didn't see the value in it. But they've always wanted gold and silver. So what would lead me to think that it would not work? Probably not much. However, you can move over to Venezuela right now that collapsed recently in terms of their money. They can literally go out to the black markets, trade a piece of their gold necklace maybe a ring, maybe a necklace, a silver necklace even, anything gold and silver. Why? Because there are entrepreneurs from other countries that are going in there with huge amounts of food and selling it to people, but only accepting gold and silver. Gold and silver is accepted anywhere in the world. No matter what happens to a currency, a fiat currency, gold and silver will be accepted. These currencies can do whatever they do, and it's not going to matter because they're all made out of paper, which means if someone really wanted to, they could print a ton more of them and just make them even more worthless than they already are. Someone might make the argument that's not true. The U.S. dollar is the world currency. Currently, it is the world reserve currency, but we've, I believe, abused that. We've printed too much of it, and we've used it as a weapon now. We weaponized it in terms of tariffs, in terms of sanctions, in terms of just outright confiscation or freezing accounts. So once you have stuff like that, people are not going to want to use it, other people. So you've got to consider that as a factor in there. With this is the money. It really doesn't matter what's printed on it. If it says $1, a dime, whatever, it's actually the metal that it's in. Whatever the metal is, that's what people are after. They could melt this down and accept it as money. They can restamp anything on it, whether it was German gold that was restamped into British gold or whatever the case may be. Now, moving on real quick, we're going to shift a little bit more to another topic of what happens if nothing happens. I don't believe that nothing is going to happen. I think we are due for some sort of a major event, and I'll get to that in just a minute. If nothing happens, you could be stockpiling rice and beans, but how much rice and beans can you hold before it affects your lifestyle? Before you just really are wasting money? To a certain point, I mean, I've got a fair amount in storage of rice and beans in both my house and in an off-site location. But with that being said, how long will that keep? Well, you guys have seen how I preserve it. I preserve it in Mylar bags. I put oxygen absorbers in there. I suck out the oxygen. I then put the Mylar bag full of rice in a 5-gallon bucket, not in that order. I actually put the empty Mylar bag in the bucket, but that's not important. And then I seal the food grade bucket, and there it sits for forever. I mean, people say that will keep 20 years. In 20 years, I think the law of averages, something bad will have happened. Whether that is another cough, where you can't get food out of the grocery stores because everybody's being scared and they're buying everything up, and I'm not going to have the patience to wait in line for hours on end to go in and get told 1 can of beans, 1 bag of rice, whatever. So that's why, I've always said on this channel that prepping has to start with food and water. And then it has to go to security because there's an order of stuff. If you have absolutely nothing, no food, no water, no silver, no nothing, you probably don't even need protection because you have nothing that anybody's going to want. Once you have food and water, the game changes. You will outlast a lot of people. You have food, you have water, now you need protection. So no one can, because people will want to take that food and water. Once you get that done, you need something that you can use to barter. Now, someone could make an argument, yeah, you need more food and more water so you can barter it. And that's great, but you can only have so much of it on hand, I believe. I mean, you can't put $50,000 into rice. There's only so much you can do. Now, you could make the argument you could with ammo, but there again, I mean, you could make the argument of anything. I'm looking at realistic. If you live maybe a family of 4 or a family of 2 or whatever the case may be, yeah, you should have a lot. I mean, even the Red Cross says you should have 30 days food on hand, 30 days water on hand. I think if you have a year's worth of food and water on hand, you're going to be golden. I don't think that is sustainable. In most cases, you need to have some way. As soon as something bad happens, you should have seeds on hand. Start planting a garden if you don't already have that in effect. Chickens, that type of stuff, and you'll be okay. But to think that someone's not going to want silver is absurd to me. And I'll tell you why, because here's the thing. At one point, I was with my chickens. I had over 130 something chickens, and I was getting more eggs in a day than I could even know what to do with. I was feeding my dogs eggs every day just because what do you do with that many eggs? Over 100 eggs a day. What do you do with them? You tell me. I mean, yeah, in a crazy scenario, what would you do? Well, if someone says, hey, I'll trade you a silver dime for a dozen eggs, you're probably going to do it because you've got so many. What do you mean? You know, eventually the system's going to come back online. And when it does, you want to have some sound money to jumpstart, because we're not going back to paper. I don't believe. When stuff crashes, the dollar crashes, and it becomes worthless, we're not going to go back on the same system. This system is already unsustainable. So to think that it's going to last forever is absurd, and to think that people will be stupid enough to want to accept paper money after all the paper monies of the world have been debased to nothing is literally crazy nonsense, in my opinion. I mean, somebody held this $1 million note and it's worthless now. I mean, I literally would give this to a 5-year-old so they could tear it up. This one probably did get tore up by a 5-year-old. There was one here that had tape on it. This one probably did get tore up by a 5-year-old. Who knows? I'm not saying all these are worthless. This is probably still has a little bit of buying power, not what it once did, but it just goes to show, you know, where we're going, what direction we're going. So to think that silver and gold is not going to have value, the silver and gold is the value, and it's going to be exchangeable for items, other items of value. And then when someone wants something, they'll trade that for another item of value. Silver and gold will keep. It will be here long after you. It's something I can pass down to my kids. It has value. My kids' kids could take this and it's going to have value. They can trade it for something they want. I can give this to my great-great-great-great-great-grandkid down the road who ain't even born yet, and he will look at this and be like, wow, that's silver. And he can trade it in for something he wants. So don't think for a minute that all of a sudden the world's going to change and you're not going to be able to use a piece of gold or silver when they've been using it for over 5,000 years as trade. So thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you disagree with anything I said, please comment. I love to read y'all's comments. Still hit that thumbs up. I'm not ashamed to ask that because it does take time making these videos to try to help people. So hopefully you hit the thumbs up. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys again next time on T-Square Talk. Let me know what you think. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.